Hello everyone, and welcome to this, the final episode of Virtue's Last Reward. Well, kind of. Over the course of 50 episodes, we saw quite a bit happen. But we still have so many questions to answer, and a lot more to go through. So this is why this bonus video exists. Granted, it's going to be shorter than what I originally envisioned, and it probably won't be as extensive. Partly because of what I have planned, and that I want you guys to think a little bit, but we will go over a few things. For now, we need to explore the major plot points of VLR and understand the bigger picture. We now know that the AB project was created to send the consciousnesses of two people into the past, those two being Sigma and Phi, to prevent the escape of a disease known as Radical 6, and the pandemic that follows. The question here, however, is where, why, or even who would cause these events in the first place. So let's look at what we do know. During a Mars landing simulation somewhere in Nevada in the year 2028, the crew of this simulation are infected with the disease known as Radical 6. The infection leads to the death of several crewmates and the eventual escape of Radical 6 into the populace. But that is basically all we know about the past events. Whatever happened in Nevada, in that test site, we won't know until the third game in the series, so you're going to have to sit and wait. But we do know who the main enemy is. For those not aware, Free the Soul, the religious cult created by the mysterious brother, and made up of the devout terrorist cell known as the Myrmidons, are the most likely suspect. We now know that Free the Soul is not only aiming to create a new world order, but also a new human race, via the technology known as cloning. Brother himself is probably the most mysterious, however, as very little was told about him in the entire game. However, what we do know is that he is an Esper, with abilities much like those we've met. We also know in the year 2028 he was still very much alive, although rather old. However, he still seems to be around, even in 2074, based on a recent Q&A with the game director Kotaro Uchikoshi, who stated that Brother is still very much alive. Whether he's alive using his secret powers related to his Esper abilities, or he just had the best doctors because of his financial stability to keep him alive doesn't matter. But he is for sure still alive. According to one theory, there are rumors that his body as a whole had time-slipped to another time. We also know that Free the Soul owns a pharmaceutical company, this company being the perpetrators of the first Nonary game, who are experimenting on the morphogenetic field theory. Here's a bit of trivia for you guys. You may have heard this one before in earlier episodes, but oh well. In the Japanese version of Virtue's Last Reward, the Myrmidons are not called the Myrmidons. No, they're called clay dolls. This is both due to two reasons. One being that in Japanese the term doll can be used metaphorically to refer to someone who is being manipulated. The second being the coincidental phonetic sound between the name and the pharmaceutical company from the prequel 999, that being Cradle. But that's enough about Free the Soul. How about we turn our attention instead to Sigma Climb, or Zero, or older Sigma. You know what, there's way too many names, let's just go into it. We know that Dr. Climb is a brilliant man. He not only mastered genetics and created a clone, Kyle, but he also mastered some form of engineering as he created Luna as well, and possibly all the golems. Luna is probably the most interesting to talk about when it comes to Dr. Climb, however. We already know that Dr. Climb, or Future Sigma, was part of the simulated Mars mission. We were also told that he lost one of his eyes and both of his arms to save a woman. You might be asking, how does this relate to Luna? Well, we need to look back at an old friend. You remember Golem at all? Our good old Cockney friend who was so quick to give us a room full of Chinese? Well, he gave us a bit of a clue. You remember his model number at all? Well, if not, it was GTMCMGOLM. So how exactly does this help? Well, allow me to show you the secret archive. According to the secret archives, the serial numbers mean a little bit more. GTM, Golem type male, CM, Cockney model, and then GOLM being the model number. So let's take that and let's apply this instead to Luna's serial number. For those who don't know, Luna's model number is GTF-DML016. At first glance, all we can get are the first and last portions of her serial number. Golem type female, number L016. However, thanks to the recent Q&A with Kotaro, which we referred to earlier, we actually know what the middle DM refers to. Golem type female, Diana model, number L016. From here you can kind of grasp what I'm trying to tell you, but allow me to explain. You remember back in episode 39 at all? I specifically mentioned that the woman on the recording of the Mars mission had the exact same voice actor as Luna. Well, that's because that would be Diana, the woman Luna is based on. For whatever reason, Dr. Klein created a robot of Diana isn't known. We don't even know if they share similarities at all. To further drive this point, however, we need to look at their relationship in name. For those who don't know, Diana is the name of a Roman goddess, who over many things is the goddess of the moon. Meanwhile, Luna is simply Latin for moon. You see the connection? So let's do a bit of trivia since we're talking about Luna, alright? You may remember back in episode 10, we learned Kay's backstory. He specifically mentions a female robot that Dr. Klein made to be his mother. One can draw conclusions that this was Luna. However, it just may be a coincidence. Or maybe Kay thought Luna was made for him, who knows. But it could be Luna. I'm dithering here, but let's move on to another subject. This one is relative to a contest question, and I have a question myself for you watching. We do know that Akane and Zero, or Dr. Klein, saw Dio coming. However, the bombs he brought along seemed to create an issue with the whole Radical 6 thing. Allow me to explain. We know that when Dio is separated from his trigger device that the bombs go into a countdown. The question here, however, is how exactly does that work? In the context of Rhizome 9 and the AB project, everyone is infected with Radical 6, which gets its namesake by the fact that it slows down your processing power by the root of 6. This means that time is perceived at a much slower rate, so the bombs themselves shouldn't be bound by that restriction, and, but in some theory, should be going faster than the 30 minutes that they are allotted. Now, before anyone goes screaming plot holes, there's a bit of a hint here. In episode 42, I gave you a specific bomb code to, well, decode. This one was special for a reason. So, here are all the codes to the bombs, labeled 0 through 3, and I gave you guys the hint. +1 to uncover a secret message in each of these bombs' codes over here. So the question was, what exactly did that mean? Well, a lot of you figured it out. Those who don't already know, you just simply take every letter and you add +1 in the alphabetical order, so the next letter over. And doing that created a message, so allow me to show you those right now. You may have noticed I haven't shown you the specific code I asked for you to decipher, but the other ones are plain as day. All of them seem to be in relation to free the soul, which would make sense as these are Dio's bomb passwords. However, bomb number 1 is a bit of a mystery, so let's take a look at it, shall we? As you can see, the code comes out to something called crash keys, which is a bit weird, because all of the other ones were about free the soul. So what exactly does it mean? Well, some popular theories is that it's similar to the whole clay doll thing, and in a sense that it's phonetic, and that it comes out similar to Kurashiki, which of course is Akane's last name. I may not quite buy that phonetic thing, but we do know thanks to the recent Q&A that Crash Keys is the name of Akane's organization, hinting that she, or those she was working with, tinkered with the bomb, It kind of makes sense due to the fact that this is the only bomb not given specifically by Dio, and instead given by Dr. Klein, or future Sigma. Let's keep touching on these contest questions, shall we? You remember the Latin phrase I asked about? Well, that's tu fui, ego eris, in case you weren't paying attention to the gameplay, which pretty much spelled it out. But let's go a little bit more into it, shall we? So what exactly does the phrase mean? Well, it means, I was what you are, what I am you will be, or something similar to that effect. But where exactly does it come from? Well, it's actually a common occurrence on gravestones, granted without a keyhole, but, you know, and it's meant to draw attention to the fact that mortality is fleeting, so it draws a parallel between another phrase that we often see in the game, memento mori. While it's a little bit different from what Sigma's actual situation is, it does bear some root. So next time you see a gravestone, not to be, you know, completely emo, but you're gonna die someday. Some of you were a bit confused, however, by the person hiding underneath the tombstone, that being Kyle Klim, or the clone of Sigma. And this is relative to that ending that we saw, that he started walking up and talking, so let's discuss that a little bit more, shall we? So how exactly does Kyle work into this? Well, we would have to take a look at the last segment of the ending, where Kyle, or whoever is inside his body, wakes up. Some of you have pointed out that Akane's plan with her chart seemed to be in a cyclical pattern, meaning that it runs in a circle, and no matter what, Sigma would fail at stopping Radical 6. So how exactly does Kyle figure into this, or whoever's in Kyle's body? Well, if you take a step back and look at it a little bit harder, you might be able to figure it out. To me, it seems that whoever's in Kyle's body is meant to represent the player, and Akane's words seem to echo this, referring to the mysterious person as an unknown integer that entered a secure system, and that only they could save the world, or at least help Sigma and Phi save the world. But pretty much all in all, what it's meant to be is, oh hey, wait for the third game. Speaking of Phi and the worst segue I can manage, did you notice that her story was never told? The only things we really know about her is that she was raised by a foster family. Her mother died shortly after her birth, and left her with the brooch we saw in the game. She also never knew her father, and beyond that the rest is all unknown. In a secret file they even say, we'll have to wait for the Nevada test site. We've gleamed even less looking over the Q&A. Someone just happened to ask the director, and all he said in reply was, well, this. And that's about it for all I can think of with this bonus episode. Without touching on anyone's toes and worrying about my next project, I think we'll leave it at that. So how about we take a look at the contest questions and we show all the answers, shall we? So the first question, the answer of course is tu fui, ego eris. Or what I was, you are, what I am, you will be. Turning our heels over to the second question, the answer was crash keys. That of course being Akane's organization. The third question was actually answered in the game. That of course would be June. That was Akane's codename during the second Nonary game. And the final question, well, that was a bit of a trick question. If you answered anything at all, well, you win. You won that one at least. Due to the complexities of the game, it's pretty much said that there were infinite possibilities, so I can only assume that there were infinite possibilities for Alice to simply die. Why not? So there you go, guys. If you answered anything at all on the last question, you were entered as well. And with all the questions and the answers out of the way, it's now time to look at the winners of our contest, shall we? So I want to thank everyone who entered. We had over, I would say, 200 submissions. That's including, additional submissions. And about 60% of you entered all 4 times, which is great. So, without further ado, let's start. So, coming in third, drum roll please. I don't actually hear drum roll, but it is Going Ape 1. And that means you get a t-shirt, congratulations. Coming in second, oh god, I might butcher this name, Tive C Toaster. I don't really know if I said that correctly, but congratulations, you're getting a t-shirt. Hopefully the t-shirt's actually spelled correctly. And finally, the grand prize winner of a new Virtue's Last Reward replica watch is Blind Blonde PhD. I think that's correct. So, especially congratulations to you guys, and especially Blind Blonde. You get a new watch. Unfortunately, it is yellow colored. I apologize. I bought a red one, and they shipped it to me, and it was yellow. God damn it. But at least you get a watch, right? And a shirt. So, if you have your name up here, be sure to contact me via YouTube PM and tell me you claim your prize. You have a month to do so, and also include the size that you usually wear for a t-shirt. It helps. So, congratulations to you three. I hope you enjoy your new shirts, and of course, Blonde, your new watch. And with that, this is about the end for this bonus episode, guys. So, I wanted to say thank you all so much. Oh, and one last thing.